Hey everybody, it's Gypsy, and welcome to On the Edge of Appalachia. So today is Saturday, June 21st, 2025, and it is my last Saturday of the season for vending. So tomorrow's our last day, and then we're done for 2 months, and we restart again on September 6th, so this will give me more time for gardening and getting stuff done around the house. So, anyways, you know how I have been complaining about the weather. It has been extremely wet and cold. I think it did rain a very little bit yesterday, but it was our last day of rain for about a week. And our temperatures have been colder than they should be. It's been a very cold, wet year. This has made gardening difficult. Now my cold crops are I've had an abundance of lettuce. Peas are doing great. All my cold crops are loving this. So, now you look at the weather and we have gone from thunderstorm warnings to heat warnings. Now we're in a heat warning. So today it's going to be 85, but the low for tonight is like 76. I'm like 76 for a low. Oh, that's actually hot. Then we're going to be in the 90s. So it's like we went from one extreme to another. So we do have about a week of dry weather and hot. This will give my other plants, my warm plants, time to catch up. It'll slow down the weeds. Maybe I could catch up with that. I mean, it's just been a very difficult gardening season, just from one extreme to another. But then, like next Thursday or Friday, it goes back to being wet again. So I don't know. It's been a very, very strange spring and summer. So we'll see what happens with this warm weather. Oh, Lord. But the problem is, when it gets this hot, it gives me less time to work out in the yard because I can only do it in the morning. When I was younger, I could handle being out there with several breaks when it's hot, but I can't do that anymore. So I try to get as much done as I can in the morning before it gets too hot. Very strange this year. But, it's like I always think about how humans are extremists. They go from one extreme to another. And, it's like there's no gray area. Nobody can ever see in between the black and the white, which is how we get all these arguments in everything. And it doesn't matter because I'm the type of person I can see between that black and white thing. And if I try to explain it to other people, they don't get it and they get angry with me. Never could understand why they get angry with me. But the only thing I can think of is maybe they're thinking I'm saying something I'm not. But with everything that has happened, over the centuries, I think it's been a lesson for us to not be extremist, not go from one extreme to another, not only see black and white, not give up our power. Because I think that's what we did. We gave up our power, our own personal power. Because I have spent my life thinking about this stuff. Okay, for me, my grandparents, but more so my great-grandparents, they didn't live, they took care of themselves. They took care of themselves and each other. There was no big government, to intervene. And I even think back in, Sicily, I think at that time, my great-grandparents on my dad's side were all already here. on my mom's side, they are newer to this country. So I think even in like Sicily, and, you took care of yourself, your family, and your community. There was no big government to take care of you or anything like that. And I know it's a frightening thought for many. But, if you want something done and you want it done right, you got to do it yourself. So anyways, let's take America, for example. The government got so big, and eventually with all the services and stuff, all the different departments, well, even the government was overtaxed. And I don't believe in big government. You guys know that. But anyways, I think we're having a lesson here on never give up your own personal power. Always take care of yourself. Now, if there are extreme circumstances and the help is truly available, there's one thing. Although I question the help truly being available. Now, I question this by hearing from people I know and their experiences about things. And I'm not just talking about them requiring help. I am talking about those who have actually worked in areas where either, like a government position where they were excited to get that job because they thought they were going to be helping others. They thought they were going to be serving their country. And it ended up they were basically doing nothing or doing something that had nothing to do with that. And it's a huge disappointment when you are the type of person who likes to serve others. It's really sad. So I think we are supposed to be learning that lesson here. Now, we also have to learn to look below the surface of things. And this includes like what people are saying. So like, all right, I know this could be controversial, but I think our president is one of those people who, when he's talking, he sends out signals in various manners. A lot of it is what he is saying. You always have to look deeper. Listen to what the person's saying. Research what they're saying, etc. I don't think I would want to go blabbing my mouth in public before I had all the information. It's dangerous. But this is what I feel our president is doing. And I told you this story that, like, back at the end of January, when he went to California to help with the wildfires, I was watching it when he talked to the citizens of Los Angeles. He was telling them, okay, you get together a group from your neighborhood and take care of this. You make the decisions to do it. Because let me tell you, the government there wasn't doing it. And the president did not seem happy that the local government wasn't doing it. I would be unhappy too. So I think he is trying to show us also that we need to go back to taking matters into our own hands. Now here's the thing. If our great-grandparents, now this is my case, I'm older. For you younger people, it's going to be like your great-great-grandparents, or maybe even your great-great-grandparents, or great-great-great-great-grandparents. And I know for the younger people, this puts it further out and more detached. For me, it's much closer. I know of my great-grandparents. They are still in our memories. The further you get away from that generation, the less you remember. So it makes it harder. But my great-grandparents, they didn't have this stuff. They did everything themselves, you know. And it's like, yeah, you knew it was going to get done because, well, you weren't relying on Big Brother. And I don't really like government. And yes, we need them to some extent. What we don't need them for is all extents. You don't need them for everything. You don't need them to be telling you what to do with your things, what to do with your children, what to do with your family, what to do with your parents when they're aging or ailing and elderly and sick. You don't need them to tell you what to do with your property. I'm sorry, you don't. That is your business and no one else's. And when you die, you don't need them telling you where your property should go to. Okay? It makes me angry. But there are some instances, like protecting the country and the citizens on a larger scale. Yes, we do need them. But we have to learn who we truly are, how strong we are, and what we're capable of. We have to remember that. And many people get angry at me for saying this stuff. I've been accused of being cold-hearted and not caring about others. Well, here's the thing. Charity starts at home. You take care of your family first. Okay? First you take care of yourself. Because if you're not taking care of yourself, you're going to be in no condition to take care of your family. So, if that's cold-hearted, then call me cold-hearted. But don't you ever mess with my child. Okay? So you want to take care of your family, yourself first, and your family. Okay? And then, after that, it's your community. And you just keep branching out from there. Okay? If your community, you go county, whatever. Now, the reason for this is because despite the internet and how we feel the world is shrinking, it is still a large planet. Well, not large, but it's a big planet with a lot of people. And we cannot possibly help everyone. And I'm talking about as an individual. And I remember before I understood this, I used to feel guilty because, you'd be watching all these commercials or you hear about all these problems in the world and you want to fix them. You want to help. But you can't. So you start feeling guilty. Well, guilt never got anybody anywhere. In fact, I would say it does the opposite. It makes things not get done. Messes with the self-esteem. So that is why you need to start with first yourself. If you don't wake up in the morning and, take care of yourself, or you're not going to be good to take care of your family, So when you're starting with yourself and then your family, then your community, and you're branching out, what happens is all these little communities, they touch each other. And it spreads across the whole planet. So that everybody's taken care of. So if you're going to leave everything to an agency, whether it be government or otherwise, you're going to leave everything to that agency, it's not going to get done. Sometimes it's just because it's impossible. Other times it's because these people are greedy and they're taking the money for themselves. They're not really helping anybody else. Okay, so that's why I think when we do it that way and it spreads, everybody gets taken care of. Then there'll be nobody left behind, because let's face it, the government, Big Brother, doesn't care about you. Your family does, and your community does. And I think that's where we're headed. I think we're headed, like, I remember hearing, like, people being upset because they thought people like me wanted us to go backwards now. It's going forward. Okay, I like to live in a rural area. I like living off grid. I like growing my own food, etc. But I also know that's me. Not everybody likes that. No, the modern conveniences we have, we can use as long as we're smart about it. Nobody's going to take that away from anybody. For me, what I mean, going back to what our great-grandparents, is more knowing how to be self-sufficient and taking care of yourself, your family, and your community. That's all it is. For me, yes, I do. I wish I lived in the 17 to 1800s. I know it was a rougher life, and I probably would be gone by now. But that's okay. It's not the length of the life, it's the quality of the life. It's definitely the quality of the life. Our society is so concerned about longevity, but not quality. I'd rather have quality. It's kind of like the same way I am with friends. I have a lot of acquaintances, but I have 2 really, really good friends who I consider my closest friends. I'm the type of person, I'm not into quantity. I'm not going to sit here and brag to you about all the friends I have and shit like that. I have been blessed with 2 friends who, I don't know how this ever happened to me. 2 friends who, despite our differences and everything, because we're not, the 3 of us are not alike. Now, my 2 friends, they're not friends. I met them at 2 different times in my life, but we don't, I'm kind of like the oddball, as usual. But we would do anything for each other. They have been there for me for everything. And I am there for them for everything. All I need is, and until I was in my 40s, I only had that one friend. There's my friend who I've been friends with for 51 years. That's okay. I don't care about quantity. I care about quality. And we need to start thinking more of that. So if I did live in my great-grandparents' time, whether it be, Sicily or America, my quality of life would be more important than the length. And I think that's what we're learning here, is we have to change our priorities. First of all, material items are not what's important. Spiritually, we need to be focused more on the spiritual without neglecting things here in ourselves and our families, friends, those we love. That's what's important, regardless of what's going on around us. We have to learn how to deal with the weirdo that's going on in this world, and believe me, it's weird, and yet still live our own lives. As I got older, I learned to do that. There's a lot of upsetting stuff out there, but I get up every morning and I do my own thing. I live my own life, and I'm happy. Believe it or not, I'm happy. I think those who knew me earlier in my life, and I'm talking about my birth family, they haven't a clue who I am. Not a clue. But that's okay. It's their choice. The family I created as an adult, they get me. And they tease me, but, it's out of love. Yeah. We have to just start learning to be happy with who we are. Know who we are. Know our strengths. Know that we have the power. And that no one should ever on this planet be above us and control our lives and our decisions. I think that's what we have been learning over the past several years. I don't know if you guys can see, I have cat paws on my windshield. So yeah. And look at this beautiful beautiful planet we have. Isn't this gorgeous? We should be grateful. So, I want to leave you with that. Blessed be and make it a joy.